can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, hey, how are we doing out there? All across this great republic and around the world, it's that time for the Conservative Syndicate coming to you live once again, right here, based out here in good old Southern California, where the only thing that's good anymore is the weather, but everything else is just turning to crap, and it's heading south fast. Anyway, we're glad to have you with us tonight. We're going to, though, in spite of that, we're going to keep it on a positive note tonight, because I'm going to tell you something. I'm kind of recharged after the weekend. We're going to talk about it a little bit later when Don Dix from Act for America comes on. But I attended a conference over the weekend in Gage, California, and just some really, really dynamic speakers, and even more important, the attitude and atmosphere of the people that were at this particular conference. Very large number of people showed up, and a lot of them, I'd say 70 to 80% of them, were people that were tied to the church. And we're talking about pastors all the way down to congregants. And I'm telling you what, there is an awakening going on. I don't know if it's going to be enough to turn things around, but I'll tell you what, at least there are some people out here now saying, you know what, drawing lines in the sand, not like Barack Obama, where we just keep changing the lines or changing the color of the lines or whatever. These people are standing up going, okay, enough is enough. And they're willing. I met some pastors that are saying, okay, you know, the big fear of the church has always been the 501c status, losing tax exemption. You know, these people, I met so many of them talking about the very idea that maybe we need to do away with the Johnson Amendment. It's like, okay, we just need to absolve ourselves of what's causing the problem. Let's get rid of it. I thought it was really amazing. Nobody was talking about, Gee, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? It's now, okay, we know something's going on. Let's get going. And I'm telling you what, everybody seems to understand one thing. They had this one Congress. I guess I'm going to talk about it. I am. They had Assemblywoman Shannon Grove up from Thousand Oaks. Very strong Christian conservative. I don't even know how she got elected, knowing the type of community that Thousand Oaks is. I lived up there for a while, very blue. And she came out and she said, okay, I'm here to do one of three things. I'm here to either get you to run for office. If you don't want to do that, then I'm going to turn you into an activist. And if you don't want to do that, I want you to get off your asses and get out and vote. It was like, one of these three things you're going to walk out of here today doing, or making a commitment to do. Or maybe a combination of the all. But the big thing was voting, getting out to vote. Here, let me give you a quick number here before I bring Joe on here. Just throw this at you here. In the 2012 election, okay, Barack Obama won. He won by the popular vote, a little over by 5 million popular votes, okay, just popular vote. 50%, 51% to 47%, something like that. But in terms of the Electoral College, he won 4 states by a total of 365,000 votes. So the other votes that we're talking about, the other 5 million or 4.7 million, it wouldn't have made any difference because the votes that those states came out of went in his direction anyway. But 4 swing states, a total of 365,000 votes between 4 swing states is what gave him the Electoral College that he needed to win. On the other hand, 35 million registered Christians did not vote. Now, just think about that for a minute. All right? If only 1 million of those people over those 4 states had voted, we wouldn't be talking about a third term of Barack Obama in the form of Hillary Clinton. That's how important it is that the church get off their ass and get out and do something. And that was the gist of basically what I heard over the weekend. So, again, when Don comes on, we'll talk a little bit more about it in detail, some of the speakers and this, that, and the other. I'll say Dennis Prager was the keynote speaker, and I got to tell you, it was anticlimactic listening to Dennis Prager compared to the speakers that came on before him. That's how good it was. Prager was good, but the other speakers I thought were just so much better, so much better. Anyway, having said that, let me get my partner in crime on here. How are you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing good, John. I'd just like to send my thoughts and prayers out to the families. There's my old unit out there in Northern California up at Beale Air Force Base lost an aircraft today, lost a pilot, and at least one crew member is hurt. So I just wanted to thoughts and prayers go out to those families and everybody involved in that. Is it
a training exercise?
It's a training aircraft. Since there was 2 people in it, so it's a trainer.
Right.
We got a guy in the front seat and the back seat, and I don't know which one got out. They both supposedly got out, but one did not make it.
Oh, yeah. Those things are tough. Those things are tough. I was reminiscing with some friends the other day. We were talking about our time in the military, and I was on an air crew, and we got to talking about. Oh, I know what it was. We saw the movie. My wife and I went and saw the movie Sully, which is actually a better movie than what I thought it was going to be. I just thought, okay, well, how do you make a movie about something that took 200 seconds to happen? But it was more about the investigation afterwards, how the insurance companies tried to nail Sully for being at fault for ditching it in the ocean, even though he saved the lives, why he didn't follow proper protocol and this, that, and the other. But I got to talking to some friends about it, and, we all had that common being out there and flying. And I had to, I was reminiscing. I was thinking about the aircraft, one aircraft when I was on. I flew close to 3,000 hours when I was in the military. And we had one aircraft that ditched. We were out on station, and we ran. It took our relief too long to find us. And by the time they relieved us and by the time we turned around and came back in, we hit a headwind coming in. So we ran out of fuel. And we had to ditch the aircraft a couple miles off of Subic Bay. We were supposed to return to Guam, but we didn't have enough fuel, so they redirected us to Subic.
We were by land, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so, and we didn't have enough to make it to Subic. So we ended up ditching about a couple miles off the coast of Subic, and we lost our navigator. The auxiliary fuel tank on P3, the number 5 fuel tank, was underneath the fuselage. And when we hit the water, P3s are made to hit the water. They're made to ditch. They're not made to crash. They're made to ditch. And when they hit the water, it breaks in half normally. And it did that, but the number 5 tank came up through the floor and pinned our navigator to the overhead, and we couldn't get him out. So we lost him. And you just kind of flash back on that kind of stuff. Watching a movie like Sully, that's kind of what I was flashing back to while I was watching the whole thing, especially when the aircraft hit the water. And it's sad to lose people, especially if you know them. That it's a drag, a super drag. So I join you in your condolences to your amigos out there. Let's see, where are we at here on time? Okay, you're gonna have to help me watch the clock, especially today, Joe. I'm kind of like I've got 10 thoughts in my head right now. I don't even know what order they're going to come out in today. So
we're just unredeemable freaking deplorables, John. So if we were illegals overstaying our visas, we'd be freaking on top of the world. But since we're not, we're tax-paying citizens. We don't count for squat when it comes to certain people in our government. So.
Yeah. Well, I have one thing I want to talk about briefly when we get back from the break here. We got to go to break before we get into America's business. Joe had sent me some stuff going. We've been talking about the situation over in the Philippines with their new president, Rodrigo Duterte, who's on a one-man mission to clean up the drug trafficking in his country. And as always, he's meeting resistance from the liberals in Congress. Mm-hmm. And I want to share with you something here just a little bit of knowledge, no judgment or anything else, just some knowledge about the microcosm that I look at the Philippines as in terms of liberalism. And I'll share that with you when we get back here. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into today's festivities. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. Believe it or not, got through that first commercial break, and we're back here live, coast to coast and around the world. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakels, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate. I want to cover this one story here real quick. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. We've been talking about it, and I'm really looking at the Philippines, and I've mentioned on this show It's kind of a microcosm of where the United States is headed right now. I mean, we're well into the throes of democratic socialism, because that's really what the Philippines is turning into. It's a democratic socialist republic. They call it the Republic of the Philippines, but the hand that the government has in everything that goes on over there is just beyond the pale. And I've given you the breakdown of the history of the country to this degree. 5 or 6 families basically control everything. They have their own establishment, just like 5 or 6 families control everything over here in America these days. At least it seems that way. Anyway, the people over in the Philippines, being a democratic socialist republic, as you understand what that means. What that means is the people basically vote to give the government authority to do whatever the government wants to do. That's the general perception here. It doesn't really necessarily have to do with the rule of law or civil society. It's the idea that the people, the government says, this is what we want to do here, and the people basically line up and vote on it. That's how it kind of works. Not like here where you circumvent Congress or whatever. Their president, Rodrigo Duterte, who was inaugurated just a few months ago, came out and apparently did get permission. I always thought about this, but he did get permission from Congress to conduct what he calls a war on drugs. And he said he wanted 6 months. He said, I need 6 months to clean this country up of drug trafficking. So the Congress said, okay, go for it. And what he did was he came out and said, okay, open season on drug dealers. Open season on drug addicts. Drug dealers or drug addicts. Shoot them, put them in the street, tag them so we know who they are, and we'll pick the bodies up. And I think it's well over 3,000 people now have been killed. Well, again, microcosm here. They have one liberal out there who's just going ape crap crazy over this stuff. And her name is Senator Leila de Lima. Now, Senator Leila de Lima was the former Attorney General under Aquino, Noynoy Aquino, all right? And when Aquino lost, or, his party lost the election, the funny part here is that, in the Philippines, they don't vote on a ticket. I mean, they have tickets, but the top 2 vote getters are the ones that get office. They have people run for president and people run for vice president. And right now what they have is the girl who was a senator, an Aquino senator, is now the vice president. So she's a member of what they call the Liberal Party. Aquino is the Liberal Party over there. Duterte is the Independent Party. All right? So the president's an independent and the vice president's a liberal. Anyway, de Lima was the Attorney General under Aquino. She lost her job as Attorney General and ran for Senate and got elected in Senate. And she's on the warpath. She's trying to get Duterte in trouble for allowing these, what they call extrajudicial killings. And the reason she's upset is because the world is all weighing in on this. And the world body, the world governing body, the globalists are all upset that somebody has taken it upon themselves to bring justice to something without giving rights to the perpetrators. That's it. There's no process of due law or anything, or due process of law. I'm sorry, rephrase that wrong. Due process of law is basically, says, Duterte goes, hey, you guys all know who these people are in your communities. Take care of them. Okay, that's really what he's done, and that's how he took the crime down in Davao when he was the mayor of Davao. That was his mandate in Davao. Davao was the leading crime center of the nation when he became mayor there, and it has now got the lowest crime rate in the entire nation. So he said, I'm just going to do this on a national level, and we'll just clean it all up. So anyway, this woman, de Lima, is what happened was Duterte went to his people. He's got a majority in Congress, and he said, this woman's giving me a hard time. And so what they did was they voted 2-3 days ago to throw her out. Okay, they just got together and said, we don't want you here anymore. You're making a problem. You're creating a problem. Now, it turns out here that this Lima, Senator Leila de Lima, as she put herself in the spotlight because of this. And so what's happening now is they're beginning to find out, or there's allegations flying out here, that she was taking bribes.
No.
She was taking bribes from governors around the surrounding provinces. What they have over there, they have provinces. They don't have states, they have provinces. And the provinces all have a governor. Okay? And what they're saying is that there were certain people bribing her so that they could do things like let's see, what is it?
And all kind of extortion, huh?
Yeah. Let's see here. Bank robber Herbert Kalanko is a bank robber, right? He's testifying in front of Congress that he'd paid 3 million pesos a month since October 2013 to this Dilema. This would be when she was Department of Justice, in order to let him conduct concerts and sell beer to prison inmates.
So I really love this, John, because this is the road we're going down. This is what
Exactly.
our government's going to end up.
That's why I'm bringing it forward here. Is like I said, microcosm. Bernie Sanders. You remember Bernie Sanders' whole thing about democratic socialism? This is what it looks like. Okay, it's ruled by the mob. If the mob gets upset with something and you get the right person in the right place, that person will respond to the mob. Okay, in the case of Aquino, all this stuff was going on when Aquino was in office. It was all going on when Arroyo was in office. It was all going on when Estrada was in office. But the thing is, people like Estrada and the Aquinos and the Ramoses and all these people that have been presidents before, these people are all the establishment over there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they just look the other way when the corruption is going on. Because why? Because they're getting kickbacks.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of something going on today in our own damn government.
Okay, so that's why I'm taking it down to a smaller little segment of the world, and now take that and multiply that to the level of what we got going on over here. We've got a presidential candidate who is involved in so much corruption and has been forever. I mean, she could be the unknown love child of Imelda Marcos. Marcos being the biggest dictator over there. You'll remember he was exiled. And by the way, he is now being allowed to be buried in a military cemetery with full military honors. Okay, so just because he apparently did fight in the war over there in World War II. And apparently he did get a medal for some heroic action. So they're saying, okay, instead of leaving him in the glass case where everybody gets to come by and look at the mummified body, they're going to now put him in the ground. But the whole point being, the reason I'm bringing it up is just so you understand, this is what it looks like. You really want to be able to dissect and examine and understand what is going on over here in the United States. Bring it down to a smaller scale. Spend some time reading up on the politics over in the Philippines, and you will see what a real democratic socialist republic looks like and how it operates.
And you want to see how it really ends up, you can just look at Venezuela.
Yeah.
And then really see just the ultimate badness of it all. And then just realize that the government, those in the government, none of this stuff will affect them, ever.
No, and one of the things the press people are always asking Duterte, because they know the way politics work over there, they'll say things, he'll have a press conference, and they'll say, do you understand that you're upsetting the powers that are, and that there's probably a contract out on you and everything? He'll say, hey, we all die sometime. So it's like, I'm not concerned about that. He was told, he responded when they asked him about the international community. You'll remember he called Barack Obama a couple of weeks ago a son of a bitch, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they asked him. They said, he says, let's see, he won the elections by a landslide, and he won on a campaign that told the people he was going to clean up the drug trafficking. They've had over 3,000 killings over there. Over 600,000 people have turned themselves in to authorities for rehabilitation. Drug addicts. Now, the prison system is overloaded, and that's what the human rights thing. This is what DeLima is worried about. We're overcrowding our prisons. And he's like, I don't care. I don't care. If they weren't breaking the law, I'm not here to make them comfortable. And he said even once he got in, he said, I didn't realize it was this bad. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was this bad. He goes, even if I wanted to kill them all, I can't get to all of them. And so they're saying, well, what about the international community out there? He says, I don't care. He says, I don't give a S about these people. Especially he addressed Ban Ki-moon, who's the head of the UN. He goes, I don't care what that guy thinks. I'm not loyal to him. I have no obligation to him. It's the Filipino people. They elected me to do a job. I'm doing the job. And they said, well, we're going to have all these hearings. I said, I don't care whether there's 1,000 hearings. I'm not going to stop until the last pushers on the streets are fully exterminated. Congress can have their own show. Go ahead. Be my guest. That's how this is what I'm going to do. The Roman Catholic bishops are attacking him. He's like, I don't care what these people think. They didn't elect me. Okay, so... Boy, I can't say that I agree with his methods. Yet just to say, okay, go out and let the community, let the people go out, take the law into their own hands. But what else are you going to do when something gets so out of control that that there's no way of curtailing it?
Yeah, well, what it is just a reaction to years and years of the government failing the people, and this is what you get. And guess what? Is our government taking care of our people?
Right. And then, Joe, you had reported to me, Maria Aurora Moynihan. Mm-hmm. Maria Aurora Moynihan, 45. Drug dealer to the celebrities is what they're calling her. She was gunned down the other day. And so that made big news because she's a celebrity. Everybody knows her. She married a French guy who actually had to flee the country because of his drug trafficking. They found drugs on her when she was shot, and she was already facing a hearing on previous drug charges that she was busted on last year. So everybody's like, oh, the big thing in the Philippines is if you're an entertainer, you're like one step next away from God. Huh. And so that really kind of ruffled some feathers. Oh no, a well-known celebrity was gunned down for being a drug dealer. Well, it's getting worse because now they're finding mayors, governors, what they call barangay captains. These are people that are over the particular community or neighborhood within a city or a province. And all these people, and there's people all over, disappeared all over the place. They can't find them because they know the law is looking for them now.
So there's corruption everywhere, and people are unhappy that someone's trying to get rid of the corruption. What
she's unhappy is she feels the rights of the perpetrators of the criminals are being violated.
Oh, the rights of that just reminds me, I just heard the story of the illegal immigrant that decided to rape a 6-year-old girl, and they're all worried about the rights of the illegal immigrant, but not a word about the little girl that was raped by this guy. And rights to that guy.
And that's the real reason I brought it up, because you can apply that to what's going on over here. The refugee situation over here. It's not about the fact that terrorists are coming in through the refugee conduit. It's that, all those refugees that are probably good people are out there, and their rights are being violated. They are not able to escape from all the oppression. Not recognizing, one, that's irrelevant when it comes, what's the deal? You're going to come over here? You're going to come over here, and then the terrorists just come over here with you, and you die over here instead of dying over there? Is that the deal?
And they're never going to assimilate. They're never going to assimilate. Their assimilation is not going to occur. And the thing is, what would be better for them? How about a safe haven near their homeland where they don't have to assimilate the crap? Are they going to assimilate us to a change of address?
Well, one of the things that like I said, over the weekend, this conference that we went to over the weekend here, they had a speaker there. Hang on a second. Let me grab this, because this is just what he talked about, just what you're saying, Joe. He did a whole talk on the whole idea of Sharia in the United States. Well, Sharia anywhere. And he was talking about the fact, he said, what people do not want to grasp, but need to grasp, is the fact that Sharia is part of Islam. And it doesn't matter, he had this imaginary line. He drew this imaginary line and says, these are our enemies and these are our friends. Okay, and the friends are the ones that are supposed to be, well, they're Muslims, but they're not really Muslims. Okay, meaning they don't practice and this, that, and the other. He says, but that's all tied to Islam, and they all have sworn to be part of jihad one way or another. It may not be going out and chopping somebody's head off or blowing something up, but there is, and he talked about the entire process that is taking place of infiltrating our government and our communities and doing it from the inside out.
Yes, exactly.
And that's exactly what, and that's why this stuff has got to stop.
That's why Don's interview is going to be so good today.
Yeah, and we got to go to break here. But my last thought here is he talked about the fact that this is Islam is not a religion. He said that's what people can't grasp. It's not a religion; it's an ideology, and that's what we have to deal with. We'll be right back, guys. We got to go to break. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? But just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you. And they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. And you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Moving on from the microcosm of democratic socialism over the Philippines to our own little version of democratic socialism over here in the United States. You know, there is so much stuff out there that we could easily spend every single day, every single show, every single day talking about the corruption, unethical conduct, lying, spinning, stealing, skewing of Hillary Clinton. We really could. And the only reason I don't is because of doing it every single day for a week. I'd probably want to go out and get that Glock 40 I've been looking at and put it to my head. You know, it's just the ineptness and corruption of this woman. It's not really her. It's just that it reminds me so much of the ineptness and stupidity of the American people. Barack Obama said in his speech the other day to the Congressional Black Caucus that this election shouldn't even be close. Meaning Hillary Clinton should just be running away with it hands down. But it's because of all the misinformation that's being put out there by conservatives like ourselves and Rush Limbaugh and Fox News and all that has just tried and been so effective in destroying Hillary Clinton's pristine reputation. Okay? But, when I see, and we know that this has been going on, and when you look at things like the Clinton Foundation and stuff like that, you understand, these are the depths of depravity that people like Hillary Clinton will go to. Out there soaking the pay-for-play and everything else. The death of 4 Americans in Benghazi, we understand that. You wanted to protect your boss. We understand all that. You didn't want the gun running and everything else come to surface.
Well, there you go. Protect your boss from everybody finding out that his foreign policy hinged on gun running.
Right. Exactly.
In the Middle East.
Fast and Furious on an international scale is basically what it was. But here, this is really probably the most depraved out of all the things that I've heard about Hillary Clinton. This is probably the most depraved. And that is the idea that the Hillary Clinton campaign, I've mentioned on this show, you go to Hillary Clinton's campaign site, okay, go to her website, and try to get on a page that she explains to you what she believes in. What you get is a landing page. And if you hit that landing page, you will have to donate money in order to get inside the site. Now, it's real cheap. They want like $5. Okay, just donate $5 and we'll let you in.
$5 5,000 times, though.
Okay, now, well, yeah. I mean, the point is to get you, 1, it gets your money. 2, it gets you on their mailing list. Okay, and the mailing list means you're going to start being inundated with emails telling you how much more money they need. That kind of stuff. I get it now. But I got on the mailing list back when Barack Obama was running for his first term. I got on the Organizing America or whatever it was, and somehow I got on his mailing list. And I've been receiving emails from him and his people for the better part of 9 years now. I think the last count, I looked in my envelope. I save them all. And I think I've got over 3,700 of these emails that I've been sent. And it's always about the latest thing that Barack Obama has done for the country, and we need more money to keep doing it. It's basically, what you get here. Anyway, what I read this is from The Observer. Now, I want you to understand The Observer is not even an American outlet, I don't believe. I think it's a foreign outlet like England or someplace like that. I might be wrong. I might be thinking of The Guardian, but it is not a well-known in terms of, it's not like Politico. It doesn't have the same popularity, that kind of stuff. But their stuff is more credible. They're more, they seem to have an ability or a willingness to cover both sides of the political asylum, okay? And they're equal in their bashing of both. That's kind of like why I like them, okay? Liz Crokin, all right, from The Observer. Hillary Clinton campaign systematically overcharging poorest donors. Now, this is what's going on. Hillary for America processed a total of $94 in unauthorized charges to Carol Mayer's U.S. bank account. And I have a picture here of the bank statement. She sent a bank statement in there with the charges highlighted on her bank statement. Now, Carol Mayer is an 81-year-old grandmother, okay? And she said she's always voted Democrat, and she donated a one-time donation of $5 to the Hillary Clinton campaign, all right? But what the campaign has been doing, and if it's doing it to her, they're doing it to others, as the article here documents, the campaign has been going in and systematically taking money out after her one-time donation. Now, I've had people ask me, how does this happen? How does this happen? Well, it's real simple. How many times have you bought something online and you go down and click on the terms and conditions and you don't read the terms and conditions? You just click on it because you want to get through your sale. Well, in those terms and conditions is something that will say something along the line of, we will begin to take money out periodically. They might give you a date. They might say every other week or whatever. But here's the deal. This is how it comes down the pipe. And this is what makes it so weird, is that these withdrawals from these bank accounts are like successive days. Two and 2 days right next to each other, $25 each.
Yep. And
then another one about, looks like a week later of $19, for a total of $94. And we say, well, where do they get that amount? Why would they? The reason they do that is that they need to keep the total amount below $100, because $100 taken out of a bank account will trigger a fraud investigation by the bank.
Yep.
The bank will say, hey, we've got these, kind of like LifeLock. You pay for a service in LifeLock, and what is that service? Well, they check transactions that go on your credit cards and your checking account. And so if that happens, they'll notify you, hey, we have a transaction here. Did you buy this? Did you do this? But the bank says since it's less than $100, they don't bother to investigate it. But what's happening is banks like Wells Fargo and U.S. Bank are receiving hundreds of calls every single day that, hey, I didn't authorize these charges. Now, they can't get anybody from the Clinton campaign to respond. And even if they did, even if you were able to get the Clinton campaign to say, oh, yeah, okay, we'll put that money back in there, they're under no obligation to do it, and they could take as long as they want to do it. Okay? What's your reaction to this, Joe?
It's typical of any government entity, and Hillary Clinton is a government entity, whether she can deny that she is or whatever, but this is the kind of stuff that they will do. They will just do it, and they will defraud the American people. Doesn't matter. You don't see the poor little old lady that voted Democrat all her life just realized the hard way that she does not matter to these people. These people, you know who matters to these people? These refugees, these illegal immigrants. That's who matters to these people, because these people are the future of America. And this lady's obviously in the past. I'm lucky. She's lucky to even get the bank statement, because as soon as she'll get on her Obamacare statement, you're just too darn old for us to even worry about you. Here's some pain meds. Go in the corner and wither away. So, I don't know. You still with me, John? Mr. Matthews, are you still with me? I guess so. I hope so. So anyway, Hillary is basically doing as Wells Fargo did, as the chairman of Wells Fargo, the CEO John Stumpf was on in front of the Senate today, apologizing that his bank had for years made false accounts set up and never told their customers that they were setting up these accounts using the money you give the bank for other purposes. Well, and that's what you do for a bank. The bank takes your money, you put your money in the bank, and the bank is going to use your money to loan it to other people so the bank can make more money off of that. That goes without being said, but they were setting up accounts falsely to do this. And this is what Hillary's doing. You're going to go ahead and read, like John said, read the fine print. If you don't read the fine print, you're going to get charged just under that $100 threshold, just so you can support Hillary into, well, ever after land. And when you're going to get the money? Well,
probably never.
Ask the people of Haiti when they're going to get the money from the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah. You'll probably never see it, or if you do, it'll take forever. It'll be after the campaign is over. Well, what I wanted to point out here, just before we go to break here real quick, maybe I'll talk about it just for a few minutes when we get back here, is that this isn't the first time the Clintons have done this. And that's the point. There's been other instances here where they have done this, and even in their last campaign in 2008, they had to pay back millions of dollars for. And I'll give you the details of that when we come back here. We got to go to a break here. When we come back, we'll continue this. Yeah, we'll just close it up because you need to understand this is just another leg in the long legacy, another leg in the legacy of the Clintons. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adult in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
TheConservativeSyndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we're talking about the Clinton campaign's shady practice, and not for the first time, of overcharging money or taking unauthorized money out of donors' bank accounts. People making one-time donations, usually in that case maybe $5 or $25. $5 to get into the website minimum. If you want to get into the website, you got to pay to play. All right, you got to pay to play with Hillary Clinton. I want to just a couple of comments here from Roger Mayer, who is the son of Carol Mayer, the one we're talking about here. She had $25, 73 charges at $25, and then one more charge of $19 for a total of $94, because that kept it under the $100 balance of the $100 limit, in which will trigger the bank to investigate the charges. So apparently she must have made a one-time donation of $25, and then they turned around and they took two other donations of $25, and then another one for $19. And they were arbitrary. They weren't like periodic. Two of them happened within 1 day of each other, that kind of stuff. So Roger, who was an attorney, the son, Roger Mayer, he called the Clinton campaign, and it took him 40 to 50 phone calls to get somebody on the phone. And after he got a campaign worker on the phone, she said they would stop making the charges. Incredibly, the very next day, her card was charged again.
Oh, they misunderstood. They said, go ahead and charge us some more.
What they ended up doing, here's the deal. What they ended up doing was saying, we'll take her off the mailing list. We'll take her off her email list, which means, I guess that's how they're tracking the people. Okay, that's how they're getting to them. But they never reimbursed her for the charges. They just, and it wouldn't have mattered at this point, because what did they do? They met that, they stayed below that $100 ceiling. So she'd already maxed out anyway. All right. So he's not gotten any of the money back, has not gotten any commitment from the campaign. That's it. Now, just so you think this is not just some kind of, arbitrary mistake. Okay. And I'm sure if Clinton was ever confronted with it, this story would come back as, oh, yeah, it was a technical error. Somebody hit the wrong button, kind of like a voting machine that registers a Democrat if you vote Republican, that kind of stuff. The New York Times reported in 2007 that Clinton's first presidential campaign had to refund and subtract hundreds of thousands of dollars from its first quarter total because donors' credit cards were charged twice.
Oh, no, say it's not so, John. Hillary's such an upstanding individual.
Yeah, and this was before she even ran for office. This was in 2007. And they were charging credit cards to the donors, not bank cards or ATM cards. Okay?
She's a grandma, John. Come on, you're being just way too tough on her.
And additionally, it was reported that Clinton had to refund $2.8 million in donations, 3 times more than $900,000 President Barack Obama's campaign had to refund. So Barack Obama had to do the same thing.
John, you left out some words there. It is reported that Clinton had to refund a stunning $2.8 million in donations. Yes, a stunning. I mean, for a crime. Oh, the extra word there means so much, John.
Yeah. Okay, now, here's the motivation. This is what they're saying here. A bank source. And it's funny. All the people they interviewed, nobody wanted to be identified. And they were saying they wanted to remain anonymous for the purpose of job security.
Yeah, well, in life.
Okay, so you're working at the bank and you're seeing this stuff go down. You're the bean counter. You're seeing this stuff go down. But hell hath no fury than a Clinton scorned. Okay. Yes. Another bank source told the Observer that Clinton's motivation in purposely overcharging donors is not only to make more money for her campaign, but also to inflate her small donor numbers, reported to the FEC. Now, this is the point. Here it is. Remember, how many times do we hear Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders come out and say, the average donor to my campaign, it's not big business, it's not the unions, it's not corporations, it's not all that stuff. The big donors are the masses. And they'll give you some number like the average donation is $27 and X number of cents or something like that. Well, nobody's going to go on a website and donate $27.32. So what we're talking about is somebody goes on and donates $5, $10, $15, $25, okay? And since they're hitting the accounts and keeping the number under $100, they are now allowed, just like the job numbers and everything else that we hear, the unemployment numbers, the gross national product numbers, all these numbers, it allows you to skew the numbers. You can say, yeah, well, the average donor is Carol Mayer here gave us $94. Okay, if we average that out over the period of 4 payments, what does that come out to? It's going to come out less than $25. It'll probably come out $20 and some change or something like that. And that becomes the average donor.
Wow, John, I find this amazing that even when Hillary Clinton is stealing money from your bank account, she still can't be honest about it.
No, still can't be honest about it. And here's the last one. Here's the last part of this. You'll get a bigger kick out of this. A Clinton campaign worker named Kathy Callahan, who worked on Clinton's presidential campaign in 2008, claimed that Clinton fraudulently overcharged her by several $1,000s. She was working for Clinton, and she overcharged her account by several $1,000s. She wrote that she voluntarily left the campaign's finance committee after she discovered $3,000 in unauthorized charges made by Clinton's campaign to her Visa card. Now, she said the unauthorized charges caused her an overdraft amount of $400 and put her in violation of the legal donor limit. So she was in trouble for donating too much, and the credit card that was charged was overcharged, and she had to pay overcharge fees for that, and she got in trouble for donating too much.
Oh, my goodness. Now, did she get brought up on charges and sent to jail like Dinesh D'Souza? No.
She said it took her a month of begging and pleading until she threatened to go to authorities that the Clinton campaign gave one of their own campaign workers back the money they had taken from them. There you go. Now, I mean, let's just take, if this alone, let's just say everything else is a vast right-wing conspiracy, for crying out loud. This alone should give you pause and make you aware of the fact that when Hillary Clinton's out there telling you that she's fighting for the middle class, she's fighting for the working man and woman, she's fighting for American families and the children, they don't give a horse's patoot about putting your accounts into overdraft. They don't care about getting your authorization to take money. All they care about is what? The money and looking good. We've got X number of donors out there giving us an average of $27.32. Oh, by the way, we're taking so much money off of your credit card. We max your credit card out. You get overcharge fees. No big deal. It's all for a good cause. The end justifies the means.
Here you go, John. This is Hillary right here.
Everyday Americans need a champion, and I want to be that champion.
There you go. Yes, to be your champion. Come on.
Yeah, well, you would think that the people that would be giving Hillary Clinton large amounts of money, and I'm sure they are, would be the banks, because the banks are making money off of this. It's their credit cards, right? So think about that.
Well, I don't know. Wells Fargo's in a little bit of a scuffle right now.
Well, yeah, because when it comes in this numbers, when the numbers like this fall into place, now it's the reputation of the bank. If nobody, like I said, if nobody had been reporting it, if nobody complained, Wells Fargo would just be throwing their hands up. Hey, we're getting the interest on this, so but no big deal.
Well, what's Wells Fargo care when you can create 2 million fake accounts?
Yeah, so just saying, just put that another feather in her hat, okay? And just think about this. This in and of itself, and nothing in mainstream media about this at all.
Such a champion.
And I'm wondering, if I was somebody's at Fox News right now, if you really, I don't know why even Sean Hannity, who is an idol worshiper when it comes to Donald Trump, something like this should be front and center. This kind of stuff. Everything else would just go the wayside. Who cares about her health condition? It's the health condition of my bank account that I'm worried about. Okay? Anyway, guys, we're at the top of the hour here. We got to do the Edwards Notebook, pay some bills. Next hour, Don Dix from Act for America should be with us. He's got a couple of things he's going to share with you. Talk a little bit more about Engage California, took place over the weekend out here. And we're going to get back to talking about Islam and the long, endearing friendship that Hillary Clinton and the rest of them have had and have with the Muslim Brotherhood. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Does Senator Dirty Harry Reid live in a parallel universe, or is he plagued with an overactive imagination? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, the Senate's leading Democrat has proclaimed that the so-called Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, has been terrific for this country. One of the hallmarks of Obamacare, according to Reid, is that 92% of all Americans now have health insurance. Of course, he omitted the fact that Americans are being coerced into government so-called health care via tyrannical fines if we don't sign up. Oh yeah, and those massive deductibles. In fact, the Obama administration has told Obamacare subscribers to pay no attention to those big premium hikes. Of course, there's no need to worry because U.S. taxpayers are forced through legal edict to pick up the draconian tab. In Tennessee, people are bracing for a 62% increase in premium costs. Oh, but it gets even better. Many Americans will now pay 20% or more of their income for a health care plan, and then having a deductible that is so enormous. For example, the Bronze Plan, individual's deductible is $7,000. There's so much terrific news regarding Obamacare. Maybe I can persuade Senator Reid to help me find it. Please inform me if you do. I'm Ron Edwards.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The Conservative Syndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
All you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
It's a latter-day prophet, weighing against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, hey, we're back. Hour two right here at the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Just a quick reminder, you might want to visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and pick up this archive, any of our archives. Find out whatever you want to know about the show. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. Joe sent me an article as we were talking before the hour here about the deal with Wells Fargo. We mentioned Wells Fargo is one of the banks involved in receiving many, many complaints, over 100 complaints a day, about the Hillary Clinton campaign hacking into their account. They could do a one-time donation, and they're going in there and they're taking money out periodically, keeping the amount under $100 so that it doesn't trigger any investigation or anything by the fraud investigators. And he sent me this article, and I hadn't really paid attention to it until we got on a break here. I want to point something out to you here. Apparently, Wells Fargo's in heat again, in hot water, over the fact that they have employees who are creating fake checking accounts or savings accounts and issuing credit cards to customers who have not requested them. And it's all to meet sales quotas. Now, first thought here, I'm going to give you here, is this reflects or mirrors the subprime lending scandal. This is what was happening. These guys were churning home loans. That's really what they were doing. They were sometimes, I worked for a broker during that time. I think I've relayed that during the show several times. I was their webmaster. I didn't do loan processing or anything. I took care of their websites and their licensing requirements and stuff like that. I was an administrative assistant. And I knew something was funny up, but because I didn't know the inner workings of how the loans were done, I didn't understand the process. I just, it's just, business is booming kind of thing. And what we found out is that they would group all these subprime loans and sell them to investors, and they would keep churning them. I know that there were loans in this particular broker I worked for that were refinanced 3 to 4 times in a single day. It was grouped and bunched up with some other loans that the lenders were doing, and they were all sent in mass, and then they were churned. That's the phrase we use, churning. You churn the accounts. You just keep turning them over to make money, to make revenue. And apparently there's been sales quotas set to employees. 5,300 employees at Wells Fargo have been terminated for doing this.
Oh, my, terminated.
Okay, but here's the main point I want to get at. As I'm reading through the article here, guess who has something to say about this?
Yes, I know she does, but she's fake honest.
Okay, Hillary Clinton. There simply is no place for this kind of outrageous behavior in America. Our economy depends on a strong and safe banking system to help keep it moving. But even after America spent years working hard to recover from the Great Recession, the culture and misconduct and recklessness that preceded that crisis too often persists. Now, if I can use the phrase, there is somebody calling the kettle black. Okay? The very woman that has had to in the past refund money because of overcharges to credit cards, even duping their own employees, and now taking money periodically under a certain amount for the purpose of protecting protecting being investigated. And here we got she's out there screaming, crying that the banks are crooked. The banks are crooked. I think Hillary Clinton needs to be investigated. Her health condition has to be Alzheimer's. That's got to be it. Woman's got a memory, nothing after yesterday. You know, that kind of stuff. What's your thought, Joe?
Seconds, John. She can't even remember 30 seconds. She said, "Oh, it's how terrible the bombing was going on there in New York and New Jersey." And then the reporter asked, "How dare Donald Trump say anything about a bomb?"
Oh yeah,
same sentence.
Hey, you know, when I heard that, the first thought that crossed my mind, my conspiratorial side kicked in. I went, "Oh, how does she know it's a bomb?" I'm like, you know,
oh my goodness.
We live in that day and age now. I'm like, huh. She knows something we don't know?
You can't believe her because she's so damn honest, John. She's honest she can't even be honest about stealing your damn money anymore.
Yeah, well, it's amazing here. But I just wanted to point that out. Joe sent me that article. We're talking about the Clinton campaign hitting checking accounts, making sure they keep the hits on the accounts below $100 cumulative, total $100. Keep the fraud investigators out. That nobody can get their money back. And by the way, the woman said she'll never vote for another Democrat now. She's 81 years old, been voting Democrat her whole life. Never again, never again.
As I said, John, they no longer care about her. She is not the future of America anymore. They care about migrants and illegal immigrants. That's all they care about anymore. Yeah. Everybody else can screw everybody else. They don't need them anymore.
You're right. You're absolutely right. We got to take a quick break here. When we come back, Don Dix from Act for America will be with us. We got a lot of stuff to talk with Don about today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The Conservative Syndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we've got with us doing his segment with us this week, Don Dix from Act for America. How are you doing tonight, Don?
Well, I'm doing fine. How are you guys?
We're doing most excellent, most excellent. You were going to say something, Joe? Joe?
I'm fine, John. How's it going? I'm okay, man.
Oh, okay. I saw your window light up here. I thought you were trying to say something. I might have interrupted you.
No. We're here with Don now, folks. This is Don Dix from Act for America.
Right.
Well, Don, kind of a busy weekend for you, and the Engage California conference. What's your first take on that?
Well, it was an amazing event. They had a tremendous lineup of speakers, and some that were new to me, especially Congressman Bob McCowan. He was there to talk about really the underlying theme of the whole conference, which is how to engage the culture, which it really means how do Christians get involved politically to sort of exert their influence on behalf of faith-based values.
So that's not a rhetorical question. I actually want to know how to do that, so you get off your dead butt and get out and do something.
Well, that's really it. And this has been an ongoing problem that most notably surfaced during the 2008 election cycle when too many people in Florida, specifically Christians, decided that they were going to sit out the election. And then again in 2012 when Governor Mitt Romney didn't measure up, partially because of religious notes, also, but maybe because of policy that, Governor Romney's election was largely lost because Christians stayed home. And this can no longer be. I mean, we're seeing in California where things like SB 1146, which is taking a shot at, Christian-based institutions of higher learning are being attacked because of their use of faith-based values in everything from housing to requiring students to, attend chapel, whatever it is. I mean, the persecution against faith-based values all over the map has been ongoing, but it's reaching a crescendo pitch right now, and it's largely because Christians have stepped back from the public square. Largely, and Donald Trump noted this. There was a campaign event that was held in the summer up in the Northeast where Donald Trump addressed a crowd of about 1,000 faith-based individuals, and the first thing out of his lips were, "If I'm president, I'm going to do whatever I can to repeal or ratchet back the influence of the Johnson Amendment," which is largely a false narrative because it doesn't prevent churches from entering the political arena. All it does is specifically prevent them from endorsing a candidate. But over time, there's this canard that's developed that says that they can't even opine or get involved or advise Christians how to vote from a biblical perspective, which is not true. And the place where this event was held, Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, Pastor Jack was one of 9 pastors who started this, what essentially they call, it happens every season before election, but it's called Pulpit Freedom Sunday, where pastors will get up, they'll preach a very political message, and then package it up and send it off to, the IRS and say, come get us. Now there's more than 2,000 pastors that are involved in doing that. And, there is a movement to encourage this participation, and Calvary Chapel is one of the churches that have been leading this charge.
Well, they need to do it more than just every election season. It shouldn't be done. There's an election probably held every year somewhere, and it has to happen. As you said, Don, the culture, it starts in your own backyard.
Well, it does, and really this is just the beginning, I guess. They have they've hatched something called faith and public policy. It's a standalone ministry now, and it really has its seeds in this movement. But it really encourages churches to adopt a framework in their work in the community that says, hey, let's go out and stand up for Christian values when it comes to local elections, when it comes to local policy, which has not been happening, and that's the reason. My calculus says that's a large reason why we're in the heap of hurt that we're in today.
Yeah, because truth be told, Christian values are American values.
And especially if you believe, as I do and many people do, that America is constructed on a Judeo-Christian platform of values. Yeah, I mean they go hand in hand. But as we know, there was this effort early on to separate church from state. This letter predicated on this letter that was written by Jefferson, saying, where he used the words in a letter. This had nothing to do with policy, but where he used the word separation of church and state. So this is not a constitutional thing. It's built on a false narrative of what separation of church and state really means.
Now you're in John's wheelhouse now.
Yeah, well, one thing I am really kind of impressed with and amazed by this convention that we went to this weekend. The Faith and Policy forum here that we were at here was began by Jack Hibbs, who's the pastor of Calvary Chapel out here in Chino Hills, and it began in 1997. He's been fighting this battle for quite a while here. And I wanted to ask you, Don, one of the things that was brought up during the convention, which I was just kind of mentioned almost offhandedly, and I don't know if it was Frank Gaffney or John Stonestreet that mentioned it. It might have been Congressman Bob McEwen, but he was talking about getting rid of the Johnson Amendment, removing the 501c status amendment that was passed in 1954 that said that churches can't be involved in this kind of stuff. Do you know of any actual movement that's going on with legislators to actually have that come about?
Well, I don't know specifically, but what's interesting is a speaker at last year's conference addressed an actual confrontation between a church and the IRS, and the attorney that was representing the church was in a meeting. There were 6 or 7 IRS attorneys in the meeting, along with another roughly dozen that were connected via teleconference. And at this meeting, this meeting was about the question regarding the activities of a particular church, and the attorney defended the church based on freedom of speech. And ultimately, they received a letter back 6 months later that said it was a letter of no action, which in IRS terms means, yeah, we're not going to do anything right now, but we reserve the right to do something later. So even in situations where there's an actual confrontation, this Johnson Amendment doesn't do the things that many churches think it does. So it's more of a perception than a reality when it comes to the Johnson Amendment. I don't know that churches necessarily need the ability, although it would be okay from my standpoint for them to be in a position where they can actually endorse a specific candidate. I don't even think that's necessary. I think that if churches were to fulfill their role in the community, much like they did during the founding, I mean, this country wouldn't even exist if it hadn't been sort of pastor and grassroots led in the first place.
Right.
So no, I haven't heard anything specific, but I think that it's not necessary to repeal that for churches to be able to do what, and for Christ-centered ministries to be able to do what they need to do in the community. What needs to be gotten rid of is the perception of what the Johnson Amendment does more than the Johnson Amendment itself.
Yeah, and that's the reason I bring it up, is having spent the last 20 years working among and with ministers, pastors, especially pastors. It would be great to repeal the amendment just so that you can go to these pastors who have been using it as an excuse not to do anything and just say, you no longer have that out. I'm not saying it would affect the churches that are active, that are actually out there doing whatever they feel they need to do, but it would certainly eliminate the excuse that so many pastors in the church use not to engage in political rhetoric and talk, and especially in particular. I wanted to ask you about this pastor up here in Michigan, the one that had Donald Trump come and speak to her congregation and then got all bent out of shape when he began to talk about Hillary Clinton, his opponent. And she stopped him in the middle. Hey, I didn't let you come up here for a political speech. Basically, I wanted you to come here and blow smoke up my congregants' butt about how great they have been handling the Flint water situation here. And Trump made the comment that she was extremely nervous, and this is indicative of what we find of the years that I've been out there working, trying to motivate and get pastors to get on board and speak the real truth. And they're just so nervous they're going to lose people because of the political side of it. And I've always told pastors, if you're afraid of losing your sheep, then they're not your sheep anyway. They're not your sheep to begin with. And you can be accountable to God. Yeah, I kept all the sheep together, but if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, okay, you got a group of people. You're the group leader of a bunch of people doing nothing, and the Bible tells us that pastors will stand a more rigorous account before God for what they do with God's people. So, it was very interesting weekend. I thought the fact that Dennis Prager was a keynote speaker, but I actually think everybody else was better than him. just my take on things,
Yeah, well, there's a segue right into what you're referring to, and that is, candidates appearing at churches. It's a well-known fact that a part of the Democratic strategy is the weekend or the weekend prior to the election, and Obama did this. I expect Hillary Clinton to do this. They appear at campaign events at a large black congregation the weekend or the weekend before the weekend prior to the election. So it's not unusual for Democratic candidates to use that platform provided to them by churches that are supportive of those individuals. And while that's not necessarily an outright endorsement, I think it comes about as close as it can. This thing about the pastor in Flint, Michigan, we're finding out now that this actually may have been a setup. There was a Facebook post by this pastor prior to this alluding to that, this is an opportunity for us to show Donald Trump that this nation is filled with intelligent, wise, black citizens of integrity, many of whom live right here in Flint, Michigan. What he will see is how we're braving this man-made catastrophe. We'll not let him use us. We will educate him. So there was this setup prior to this that it was going to be used by this pastor who's many pictures of this particular pastor with President Obama. They are an outright Obama supporter. But, I thought that Donald Trump came off really well, because when she came out and quote unquote reprimanded him, he was very, here you have someone who's a woman, you have someone that's, a non-white individual, and he looked very subservient to her. It was very good optics for him. And, he said, I'll get right back to the message of, congratulating you guys on what you're doing locally here. So I think ultimately he won the day with the way that he appeared. It wasn't the confrontive, combative Donald Trump. It was a very subservient Donald Trump. He knew he was in someone else, Pastor Timmons' house, God's house. So he acknowledged the correction, I think, rather well, and I think that showed him in a good light.
Yeah, that's the only way to handle something like that. I many times I've spoken in front of other churches, and the first thing you do when you speak to a pastor of another church is, what can I and what can I not say? And you must honor that. And if you step over that boundary, you must expect that they're going to say something about it. I've stepped over the boundary a few times, so I know how it works. So I thought he handled it very well. Actually, if I was him, I would have exited right away. He spent a few more minutes up there, but that's okay. That's the way it goes. But overall, it was I thought he handled it very well, very well. So, hey, look, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation here with Don Dix from Act for America. I want to get back into the discussion of Islam. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go.
State Talk Radio, WRS
Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? But just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you. And they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. We've got with us Don Dix from Act for America doing his segment with us, his contribution to our show this week. I want to get into a discussion here about Islam. I hope we have enough time to kind of tie the whole thing together. Don's been on the show the last couple of times. We've asked him to talk about this, in particular, Hillary Clinton's ties to the Muslim Brotherhood that apparently started back about the same time Jack Hibbs started the foreign policy, the forum that he has, Faith and Policy Forum, out there in Chino Hills, about the same time, late 90s, 96, 97. And I want to kind of break the ice with this here. One of the things that we hear all the time about from the left is that this intake of Syrian refugees that Hillary Clinton wants to increase like 500% or something like that, that the United States has got it all under control. They've got the solid, rock solid vetting process down. They're going to make sure that they do everything they're supposed to do, cross their T's and dot their I's. And I'm reading here from the Associated Press. This is published last Monday, or actually yesterday. Alicia Caldwell, 800 immigrants plus mistakenly granted citizenship. The U.S. government has mistakenly granted citizenship to at least 858 immigrants from countries of concern to national security or with high rates of immigration fraud who had pending deportation orders, according to an internal Homeland Security audit released Monday. Notice internal, meaning the public, somebody got their hands on this, probably not supposed to. It says here that they were granted citizenship because their fingerprints were missing from government databases. Now, I thought the Obama administration had a handle on this. What do you think, Don?
Well, this is really a symptom of a larger cancer that exists within our overall national security apparatus, and because this is the Department of Homeland Security, you need to bring in also, along with this conversation, another individual by the name of Philip Haney, who just wrote the book "See Something, Say Nothing." Philip Haney was a founding member of the Department of Homeland Security who had developed a tracking protocol for being able to identify and then track the movements of individuals that were connected to larger terrorism-related organizations that are based out of Pakistan and Afghanistan. Yes, the Department of Homeland Security, there are 858 individuals who were granted citizenship that were already slated for deportation because, as you put it, there was a piece of their file that was missing. In this case, they're saying it was fingerprint records, but these individuals were already in a different system slated for deportation. Many of these individuals were using false information, such as different names, different birth dates, so it didn't link up to some of the information that the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services were using. In addition, some of these individuals were actually, pinging on other networks relating to their connections to organizations and individuals with terrorist ties.
So
the reason.
So Don,
go ahead.
So Mr. Haney, if I remember right, Mr. Haney was told to stop doing what he was doing because it was profiling. Is that correct?
Well, exactly. So Philip develops a system. First of all, he actually received a commendation from the Department of Homeland Security for his work in identifying 300 individuals that became subject to actions by the U.S. government, either arrests or denial of granting them visas to come into the country.
Yes.
In addition to that, though, he had 1,600 individuals and organizations that he was following, not the least of which would have picked up the entry into the United States of Saeed Farouk's wife, who was one of the shooters in the San Bernardino terrorist event.
Yes.
So,
and then when Obama administration came along, they told him, stop what you're doing.
Right. So in March of 2012, Philip Haney is called into a meeting with attorneys from the State Department, and I never even knew this organization existed, the Department of Homeland Security Civil Rights Division. Their concern was that the individuals that Philip Haney was tracking were not members of an organization that was already a designated terrorist organization, and they were concerned that we were tracking Muslims and we were violating their civil rights. What ended up happening was that over the next 9 months, Philip Haney himself became the focus of 9 different investigations. They had convened a grand jury to investigate Philip Haney. Ultimately, the charge was misuse of a government computer, which was later dropped. But here you have a guy that has come up with a program to track the bad guys, and the administration, whose guiding light, first of all, is the largest national security threat facing our country is global climate change. But when you bring it back to the issue we're discussing, what ultimately they're trying to do is to normalize this notion that all of the people around the world should be granted civil rights. They talk about it in terms of a human problem, not completely denying the reality that these entities and these individuals are driven by an ideological guiding light. The focus is on the war on terror. Terror is a tactic. It's like saying we're going to have a war on pressure cookers. We're going to have a war on pipe bombs. Let's forget the motivation for the use of the pressure cookers and the pipe bombs. Let's forget trying to track people that would be connected to an ideology that would be driving them to use these terror devices and these terror strategies. And it's this notion that we're going to now counter violent extremism. We're going to strip out of our entire national security protocol any reference to Islam, jihad, the Quran, any of those factors that drive these individuals. It'd be like saying we're going to have a war on biplanes in the Second World War. Forget the fact that they were being piloted by Nazi Germans. Forget the ideology of Nazi Germany. We're gonna have a war on tanks, and anytime you do that, you have lost from the very beginning. This is part of the problem. And
I just wanted to point out that we had programs in place, and then as our article about the 800 people that got in here. Just slipped through the 800 refugees that got through here. That was done in 2010 and 2008 and just, and then beyond. And then we got 2012. No, sorry, Mr. Haney, don't be doing this. But we got to create this new normality of we're going to have bombings. We're going to have San Bernardinos. We're going to have Orlandos. We're going to have Chattanoogas. So people are just going to have to get used to this. This is the way the world is today.
Right, and it's even broader than just terror. Linking all of this ultimately back to the administration the State Department, and Hillary Clinton. This was Hillary Clinton's State Department that came down on him regarding this notion that these people's civil rights was being violated. You know, Hillary Clinton, this is what links it back to our prior conversations. You know, she was a big promoter of the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation's UN Resolution 1618, which originally sought to criminalize speech critical of Islam. Ultimately, she presided over and spoke at the beginning of the process called the Istanbul process, the very first meeting in Istanbul, Turkey in the summer of 2011. And then you begin to track how she was attempting to bring in this notion of hate speech, and it links right back to this idea of civil rights. In December of 2011, she holds a 3-day closed-door meeting with the OIC, Department of Justice, and attorneys from the FBI and the State Department to try and figure out how can we take what essentially is impossible in light of our First Amendment and craft this into a hate speech and a civil rights issue on behalf of all Muslims. So there's a direct link back to Hillary Clinton, what I refer to as her mainstreaming the Muslim Brotherhood agenda in this country. Philip Haney is a direct recipient of that policy. The 858 citizenships, the Department of Homeland Security's inability to make sure that they're keeping America safe, that's their primary mandate. And when you have that kind of an overarching methodology, errors like this happen.
Yeah, and I agree. The situation, we got to go to a break here, but when we come back, I want to address, Joe is hitting on something I wanted to get your opinion on, Don. That is this idea that as Obama spoke at the in front of the UN here, giving his magical mystery tour finale speech, he basically just tried to group terrorism in with every other major issue that we have going on, as if to say one isn't really more concerning than the other. And I want to get your take on that when we get back here. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
TheConservativeSyndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. And, hey, we want to encourage you. Take the time to visit our website, TheConservativeSyndicate.net, and pick up this show, any of our shows out there, anything you want to know about our show, the panel members like Don Dix here, along with some of the other ones we have, Audrey Russo, and who else we got here? Bob Cardoso. And you can just find out everything you want to know, why we do what we do, and it's all there. TheConservativeSyndicate.net. All right, we've got Don here. We're talking about Islam here once again. And one of the things that I think really just really jacks my jaw is this idea that at this point in time, whenever Barack Obama is asked to address anything to do with terrorism, he just has this tendency to downplay it. You know, they say, okay, the big thing is he won't call it radical Islam. I don't care what he calls it. What I'm more concerned about is how he downplays it. Something I heard at the convention, Don, I guess I wanted to get your take on this, and I don't remember who said it. It might have been Frank Gaffney, or it might have been John Stone Street. But he said they were talking about the fact that when we're dealing with Islam, a lot of people think we're dealing with a religion here. We're not. We're dealing with an ideology. And it makes me wonder if that's the common ground that Barack Obama has with Islam, is that it's based on an ideology that is extreme in nature, even though it's contrary to what he wants, which is, liberalism. And we've talked about how they're going to reconcile this if either or both sides win this thing. If republicanism and everything else that we are goes down the tubes, what's going to happen once the Islamic folk have to face off with the liberal folk? But I think this is. Would you agree with that statement that we're dealing here more with an ideology? It's more of a theocracy than a religion, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, in its purest form, we see it implemented in countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran, where the religion itself is at the top of the pile, and then that guides their policy. The mullahs, basically, the president of Iran reports to the mullahs, and is basically a figurehead for carrying out their agenda, if you will. Same thing to a large degree in Saudi Arabia, although it's a little bit different in Saudi Arabia because you have a kingdom, if you will, but it's still guided by the Salafist model of Islam. So, part and parcel to Islam, there is no separation of church and state. That's one of the things that doesn't get acknowledged in this narrative, is that, and that's one of the reasons why it's wholly incompatible with the notions that Western civilization is predicated upon, especially in America, where you have the citizen itself at the top of the pyramid, and then everything flows downward from that. That's the ideal in a constitutional republic, is that the citizens sit at the top, and ultimately we are our role. The way I like to put it is this: and Judge Brandeis, who was a famous Supreme Court justice, after which Brandeis University is named, said the most important political office is that of private citizen. Ideally in Islamic, organized systems of government, the citizens at the bottom of the pile, and Sharia law and the Quran and the religion is at the top of the pile. So right then and there, you've got incompatibility. But as it relates to, you brought up Obama at the UN, there's this, one of the things, I don't necessarily, a lot of people, you can have this argument, is Obama a Muslim? Is he sympathetic? I think it's even worse than that. I think at the core of people like Obama and Clinton, who are globalists, who believe that if you treat other people as you want to be treated, that they will then deal equitably with you.
Right.
That is absolutely not the case when you're dealing with a worldview that's guided by Islam, because first of all, you're ignoring the theological components of Islam, which say Islam, even its eschatology, which says, Islam's ultimate goal is to be dominant in the world as a religion and a form of government, because until that happens, they can't bring about their version of the end times.
Right.
So part and parcel to this worldview of Islam is that they're going to do whatever they need to do in order to become the dominant, the dominant structure in the world. But on the other hand, you've got this globalist, progressive view that if we just treat them well, if we treat them like we want to be treated, this almost who was the guy in World War II that that tried to appease Germany by giving away Czechoslovakia? You cannot appease Islam, because anytime you do that, they view that as weakness to be exploited.
Yeah, the Neville Chamberlains of the world.
Exactly.
The globalists and the multiculturalists are very, very dangerous to our society.
But here's a quote from Obama at the UN, and I've long held that Obama's ultimate goal is to be president of the world via being the general secretary of the UN. I think that's where his ambition is guiding him to. But this is what he said today. He said, "We can only realize the promise of this institution," meaning the UN, "founding to replace the ravages of war with cooperation if powerful nations like my own accept constraints."
Oh, jeez.
Now, we could talk for an entire hour of what that means. I mean, in the beginning of the conversation, that means the U.S., basically giving up its sovereignty. Yeah. But if you look at it in terms of policy, the constraint on free speech that has been advanced by this organization of the Islamic cooperation, saying that we can't be critical of Islam. They've since modified that resolution to say criticism of any religion. But at the core of what makes the United States great is our ability to criticize ourselves. It's freedom of speech that allows us to say in the public domain whatever it is that's on our minds. It's not about the right to be free of being offended. It's about the right to be able to talk about those things that are important in the political conversation of the day. What's that?
So, Don, the delicate little snowflakes out there better realize that Hillary Clinton right now will go after your First Amendment rights as long as your Second Amendment rights. She will go, as she said, all our rights need to be regulated.
Well, and that's the whole thing that's going on college campuses, is that the only speech that's acceptable is the speech that lines up with our worldview. If you want to bring on anybody like a Ben Shapiro into our college campus, or worse yet, the gay activist Milo, the conservative gay activist, that cannot be tolerated. We cannot tolerate dissenting views, and that is part and parcel to this entire movement that has taken over. It's at the core of everything we've talked about. We started off talking about the persecution of Christians and the inability for everything from a military officer able to have a Bible on his desk to the kind of stuff that we're teaching in our young education classes to higher institutions of learning. All of this is these dots connect very well, and this is part of the reason why churches need to speak up, because if they don't, they're going to
they're going to speak for us. They're going to speak for us. I got to interrupt you, Don. We're out of time here. We're out of time. I want to give you got about 30 seconds here to plug whatever it is you need to plug. Act for America, whatever else you're doing there.
Well, God bless you, John. It's always a privilege, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys, as we are. Act for America, it really is, in this election cycle, national security, almost more important than economics in this election, and that's going to be the topic of the debate coming up. You can go to actforamerica.org, learn more about our organization and our priorities as a grassroots organization, elevating the conversation of national security and the threat posed by both political and radical Islam.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Okay, guys. Hey, look, we're at the end of the show here. We're going to close it up. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock out here on the left coast, 6 o'clock on the east coast, and somewhere else, wherever you're at. Check us out at theconservativesyndicate.net. God bless you. We love you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.